Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Welcome to another week of June. Here we are just about halfway through the month and zipping right along. We got a rainy week ahead. So at least in the Savannah area, but wherever you are, I hope it's nicer.
Yeah, I got home from Columbus this weekend. We had our convention and it poured rain last night. I was like, oh my goodness, this is fun.
So welcome
It was bright
home.
And sunny and all of a sudden, here comes the rain.
There you go. Well, welcome to Savannah. If you don't like the weather, stick around a few minutes, it'll change. All right, glad to have you aboard here this morning on Get Real America as we crank up another full week of fun and frolic. And among them, of course, Brittany just back from the GOP convention that was held over in Columbus. And I think it got 2 or 3 mentions on the news over the weekend. I actually heard where Donald Trump was coming to Georgia after they mentioned every other state in the union, practically.
Yes, well, and I will say that it was quite a weekend. They also had Vivek there, Ramaswamy, also running for president. Marjorie Taylor Greene made a couple of appearances. We got to see Carrie Lake on Friday night at the victory dinner, which was great. And of course, the convention on Saturday was wild because we had we had the Secret Service that had to do all of their security checks. Therefore, security was a little crazy, and it took a couple hours longer than they had anticipated, which extended the convention. It should have started at 10 a.m. We got started around 1. Didn't really get to business till 5 p.m. since the president was there. So we did get through elections, which is great. And that ended around just a little after 8 p.m. So it was a very long day on Saturday. But we do have a new chairman since David Schaefer actually did not run for re-election this year. Although I will tell you, something that he brought up at the convention, Bill, was these are growing pains that we're experiencing here in the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. We're bringing in different. It's kind of like the Ron Paul revolution. Yeah. We brought in all of those people, and it kind of changed the dynamic of the Republican Party. But they're growing pains. We're bringing people in. The party is growing, and we had over 2,057 delegates there. That doesn't include guests. That does not include alternates that were there.
Wow.
2,057 delegates, which is the biggest the convention's ever been. They sold over 900 tickets to the victory dinner, which the most they'd ever sold was just under 400 for that. Mm-hmm. So we do have a very vibrant party, and I think that we're just experiencing some growing pains, and that means that different fractures of the party, we have the more moderate side, the more right-wing side, and we have obviously the people in the middle, but, I think that our party is full of energy, and I'm excited for the future. Yes. Yeah. So I don't think that we should listen to the media. We know how they are.
Oh, please.
Kemp was not there, and I think that that is a problem. But I do think that the news media did help with that. They kind of drove the wedge between Kemp and some voters by saying that he said that the GOP infrastructure no longer works. And I don't disagree with him. I think we have to revolutionize the Republican Party and how we do things, because the Democrats, they're probably 4 to 5 years ahead of us in what they're doing. So just some things that, really were aha moments for me this weekend. Obviously, there are still some things that make me uncomfortable that Kemp has done, but, no politician is perfect. And I still will be critical where needed, but I also think that there is a place for us also realizing that the media has really helped to ignite the fire and try to create more division in the Republican Party than there actually is. So.
Why wasn't he there? I don't.
He got booed off stage last time. I think that has something to do with it.
Well, that would.
Yeah, and his girls were there, and I think that was probably something that really played into his decision on whether he came or not. And they had a women's commission meeting on Saturday as well. The governor did his women's commission, and I think that was probably not a great idea to have it the same day as convention, but there were a lot of Kemp supporters that probably were delegates that didn't come because of that. So but
I can't remember was he not booed off the stage because of the voting machine issue?
I believe so. I think, here's the thing. When you're an elected official, if you do something that the people disagree with you on, be prepared for what those consequences look like, or be prepared to explain them. Because I know that there are a lot of people that were upset with Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's been some talk that maybe she had some trade-off when she voted for the debt ceiling, and maybe the trade-off is that she'll get articles of impeachment drawn up. That's one of the things that I heard. So I don't know. I think but people should really explain why they do things to people. And sometimes the politician might think that it's worth it, but when it comes to the people, they don't believe that it is. So I think that politicians need to be more in touch and more in tune with their constituents. So I think that's just, a lesson for all politicians.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So really quick, I just want to go over who won this over the weekend. Our chairman is Josh McCoon. Our first vice chairman is Brian Pritchard. He has a radio show up in North Georgia. Second vice chairman is David Cross. He is an election integrity. He has an election integrity passion, I guess. The treasurer is Lori McLean. Assistant treasurer Jenny Ekman. Secretary Caroline Jeffords and Assistant Secretary Susie Voiles. A lot of these people are newcomers. I have my own thoughts about that. I'm really not going to go into that, but kind of interesting. We will see how it goes.
All right. Very good. Well,
Yes.
Understand that we've still got the Sunday talk shows yesterday. We're talking about no policies or anything else about how much trouble we're in because of this administration's stupidity and incompetence and, frankly, outright treason, as far as I'm concerned. And you can take that to the bank. But what were they talking about? They were talking about Donald Trump.
Of course they were. And Donald Trump, of course, made an appearance on Saturday, part of the reason that the convention took so long. But he was awesome, and we have a little clip of what that looked like, him talking about his indictment.
It's gone very bad, and think of it, in 3 years. 3 years ago, we were energy independent, we had no inflation, we had low taxes, we had low interest rates, we had the greatest economy in history. Think of it. I could stand up here all day long and just talk about all of the great success we had. And now we have everything's the opposite. Inflation's killing our country. Energy is ridiculous and ridiculously high. We're getting energy from Venezuela. Nobody can even believe it. I never thought such a thing could happen to America. As far as the joke of an indictment, it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing for this country. I mean, the only good thing about it is it's driven my poll numbers way up. Can you believe this? Way up. Now it's driven up, way up, and somebody said the fundraising is through the roof. That's less important. But I will tell you, it's really driven us right through the sky. We're really winning big. We're winning by we're beating the hell out of the Republicans, and we're beating the hell out of Joe Biden. That's why they're doing it. If I wasn't, let me tell you, if I wasn't, there'd be no witch hunt. There'd be no indictment. If I was losing, we're winning by a lot against the Democrats. If I were losing, they're the party of disinformation. They say, oh, we want to run against Trump. We want to run so badly against Trump. We won the first time, and then we did better the second time than we did the first time. We won by many millions of more votes, much better, not even close. We got the most votes ever in the history of our country. And today we're more popular than we were in 2020. We're going to get numbers that are absolutely incredible. Federal law enforcement should never have been involved in this matter, but they got involved. And we just can't let that happen. They got involved with Twitter. They got involved with Facebook. The pollsters say it made maybe a 17-point difference. And then they say, I lost. We didn't lose. We won by a lot. But they say I lost by 20,000 votes. 20,000 votes. We'd come here for rallies. We'd come to other states for rallies. But we'd come into Georgia for a rally. We'd have 40, 50,000 people. They'd come in for a rally, they'd have 8, they couldn't fill up the circles. And then you hear, he clipped you at the end, just clipped you. Didn't happen. We won Alabama in a record number. We won South Carolina in a record number. Those people that run it, the professionals, say it's not possible to win Alabama in a record, South Carolina in a record, and lose Georgia just by a tiny little bit, you know? So you got to watch that. You got to watch it. We're all going to be watching it. As president, all of my documents fell under what is known as the Presidential Records Act, which is not at all a criminal act. Everything. It's all judged by the Presidential Records Act. In this whole fake indictment, they don't even once mention the Presidential Records Act, which is really the ruling act, which this case falls under 100%, because they want to use something called the Espionage Act. Doesn't that sound terrible? Oh, espionage. We got a box. I got a box. The Espionage. The Espionage Act of 1917, I think it was put in there about World War I. Boxes. And by the way, Biden's got 1,850 boxes. He's got boxes in Chinatown, D.C. He's got boxes all over the place. He doesn't know what the hell to do with them. And he's fighting them on the boxes. He doesn't want to give the boxes. And then they say, Trump is obstructioning. He's obstructing. No, it's a sad day for the country. You know, I said, last night I said that our country has tears because of what's happening. We have fake elections. We have no borders. We have inflation. We have everything. It's just going wrong. There's never been anything like it in the history of our country. We've never done like this. And the division is so bad because what they do is so bad. And our people are angry, and they just keep doing it. And sometimes you need strength. You have to have strength, more than just normal strength. And we have to get a change because we're not going to have a country left. Remember, I used to campaign, and I'd say that we're going to end up being Venezuela on steroids. And that's exactly what's happening to our country. Our country is going to hell. I was going to change the name of our campaign to Keep America Great. Now, that's not as good as MAGA. MAGA's MAGA, right? MAGA. And Keep America Great is CAG. I don't think CAG is never going to compete with MAGA. But we couldn't say Keep America Great because our country is not great. We're laughed at all over the world. We're no longer respected. 3 years ago, we were respected like our country has never been respected before. They also don't mention the defining lawsuit that was brought against Bill Clinton, and it was lost by the government, the famous Sox case that says he can keep his documents. They don't mention that. These are minor details, and that's the ruling law. When I left office and was moving to Florida, boxes were openly sitting on the White House sidewalk. Everybody was taking pictures of them. This isn't somebody smuggling boxes out. Pictures of them you've all seen. It's sitting with people from GSA and other people waiting to put them on a truck. But they were literally sitting outside of the White House waiting for a truck to come. Then the truck come. It was there for a long time, and they put it in, and they brought it down to Florida. And they make it sound like it's a big, if that's a spy operation or if that's something bad, we did a very poor job, I will tell you.
Of course. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Sorry. Trump.
I couldn't believe the lack of coverage that your convention got, that our convention got.
I mean, I can because Trump was there, and they want to.
But the people that you had, Carrie Lake, you had Vivek, I understand it's about Vivek or something like that, whatever it is.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
But whatever he wants to call himself this week, he could be Smith if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But the fact that you had some rock stars there, and nothing, practically even from Fox, they hardly mentioned it.
Yes. Well, I think part of that is that they want to be able to write the articles they want to write about what happened at the convention.
Of course.
There's always going to be disagreements. We're always going to want something different, and that's okay. You have a room full of passionate people, and I think that people forget that, it doesn't mean that we're divided. It just means that we see things differently. And in the Republican Party, we're allowed to think for ourselves.
Yeah.
And people need to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the media paints everything in a different light, that we're so divided, all of this stuff. And like I said, we're just experiencing growing pains in the Republican Party, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Whereas the Democratans on the other side don't allow anybody to put up any opposition. when you had they call themselves the Big Tent. They have actually the folding tent. It is just ridiculous that they can't get when they. I remember the last.
They're paying their voters.
Democrat, yeah,
That's the problem.
Yeah, the Democrat National Convention that I saw when I was watching just a few years ago. They had to put the words of the Pledge of Allegiance up on the screen. They had to put the words of the national anthem up on the screen, which should never be necessary in the United States of America.
No.
But they don't care, and it was just done for optics in the first place.
Yes, and our friend Mary's with us this morning, and she says the indictment is purely political. I
Of course
100% agree.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of people saying that there's some truth to it, I'm actually going to read the indictment, and I'm going to.
Well, they show all the these boxes. I don't know if those boxes are in Mar-a-Lago. I don't know where that. And they show all these papers laying all over the floor. That's where the FBI put them. And by the way, when you're photographing these things, don't the Chinese, besides having spy balloons, don't they have ability to maybe enhance that picture and see some of the stuff on these documents? Dumbass.
Yeah, Bill, it's crazy where we're at with the Trump stuff, and they're trying to wear people out with him. So when we get back, we'll be talking about something that's wearing you out, Bill.
Yeah, boy. Yes, sir. Cameras in school zones. That's coming up. At Get Real America, we are focused on Savannah, but we'd like to hear from other communities as well. We have a lot in common.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard this morning. On Friday, the headline in the Savannah Morning Misprint was School Zone Camera Program Rakes in the Cash.
It sure does, and it rakes in a lot of people's money.
Yeah. So far, I've gotten 4 tickets that I was speeding in a school zone. All of the times, I paid 2 of them because the car technically is registered to my wife. And I said, I want to go to court and protest this. I said, well, the person the car is registered to has to show up.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, geez, she's too busy. She has a business that she's running, and a very successful one. Thank you very much. And she doesn't have time to waste her time going to court over these stupid traffic tickets that they're handing out now. They've raked in now over almost a little over $500,000.
Over what period of time?
Since they put these in last year. Now, they said that so far, this doesn't count the unpaid tickets so far. Oh. So there's still a lot of them out there. On the article, they said they were penalizing the lead foot drivers. Oh, please. I don't speed in a school zone. I pay attention to the speed limit most of the time. And the time stamps that I've gotten on the tickets have been after school was in, that these cameras were supposed to be set up under the guise that they're short on resource officers. So they need more. They need more help. So the cameras were a good alternative, but they were supposed to give you fines during the school, the periods when kids were out of class. We're
Like
coming
when the,
to school.
when the lights are flashing.
Yeah,
basically.
right. Yeah, when the lights flash, saying this is a school zone, and between 7 in the morning and 8:30 or something like that. First time stamp I got was 9:45 or something like 9:38, something like that. So the kids should have already been in class at that time. But SPD says it's a cost-effective program to replace traffic light officers or traffic duty officers, especially with officer shortage. 60% of the funds, they say, go to the Savannah Police. 35% goes to Blue Light Solutions, which is a company out of Tennessee that sets up the cameras at no cost of the taxpayers. They just get the revenue. They get 35% of the revenue,
cool.
And the other 5% goes to Savannah Chatham County Board of Education. Ah, what a surprise! So,
how much money are these people raking in? The school system gets so much money, Bill.
No kidding.
Insane.
You got the East Bloss, you got the regular taxes, and then you got the East Bloss tax that we foolishly voted in.
Yep.
And SPD spokeswoman Bianca Johnson told the newspaper in an email that the money is supposed to fund police equipment and new school resource officers. Okay, where are they? And so far, none of the funds they say collected by SPD have been spent, but about 36,000 tickets have been issued.
Wow.
36,000 tickets in Chatham County alone, in 12 school zones. And also House Bill 978, sponsored by 6 Georgia Republicans in 2018, required funds collected by school zone cameras to be used for public safety initiatives. Now dozens of Georgia cities are using them, but critics say that, of course, this is technology that is actually a speed trap for money grabbers. And that he says, here we go again. It yeah, you had to put this in. It disproportionately affects poor and minority communities. Oh, please. Yeah, it doesn't everything. It goes back, Brittany, to the old joke about what would the headline be in the New York Times on the day before Armageddon, or the day before the end of the world. If God came down and told a reporter at the New York Times, I'm ending the world tomorrow, a day after tomorrow, what do you think the New York Times headline would be the next day? World ends tomorrow, women and minorities worst hit. But since implementing, they say that the speeding in school zones has been reduced by 82% within the city limits, and Blue Line says it's 92%. Of course, they would like to jack up their statistics okay. I think that's nice that the school zone speeding has gone down. But school zone speeding at 9:30 in the morning is not school zone speeding. In fact, our producer here got one, I think, from 10 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. And that's not what those cameras are supposed to be for. Those cameras are supposed to be for school zones, for just the times that the kids are going to class or coming to school, and after from like 3 o'clock to about 4:30 in the afternoon, when classes are dismissed. It's not supposed to be during regular school hours, but nevertheless, here they are. Well, I am protesting. Finally, I talked to my wife yesterday. Says we'll go to court on this. So she'll waste some of her time to go to court with me, as wasting some of my time to go see a judge about this and say, this is ridiculous.
Well, I also think, Bill, we're setting up a security state, and everyone is like so excited about all these cameras, but I think it's very dangerous because I think it's going to lead to more tracking of the American population, and I think I don't think that that's a good thing.
Well, now they're putting them in our classrooms.
Well,
Bryan County, I think, has already done it, and Chatham County is getting ready to do it. And I understand the philosophy behind it.
Well, and I also understand it, especially because I do see some of the things that have been happening in these schools that, I mean, I don't like it because if I was a teacher, I wouldn't want to feel like I was being watched all the time. I think that that's kind of weird, but
exactly.
I also understand that they've lost the trust of the American parents sending their kids to school, and they want to be able to pop in and see what the teacher is doing at all times because they've lost that trust.
Yeah, there's no such thing as privacy anymore. Not that you're guaranteed it in any way, shape, or form in the Constitution, but at the same time, I think this is really getting out of hand. That so far, and I would like my $300 back that I've already paid in 2 of those tickets, because
Wow.
these are, I mean, it's ridiculous. Though the first one's supposed to be $75, and the first one I got was $150. So the first
Wow.
one's supposed to be 75, and then it goes to
Jeez.
100, and then 150 or whatever. And
Very expensive bill.
yeah, no kidding. So I would like my $300 back, and I'm going to go to court on this next one.
All right. And Steve says, smacks of taxation without representation.
Yeah, yeah. That was the battle cry of the revolution. Taxation without representation is tyranny. Well, look what we've got now with representation. I mean, this makes King George III look like a piker.
I mean, I don't know where we're not getting taxed. you
Yeah,
know?
no kidding. You're taxed on your taxes.
Yes. They just, yeah.
I remember the first time I ever got a lot of money back from the Internal Revenue Service, at tax time.
Yeah.
My tax guy says, you're going to get $1,200 back this year. This is 30, 40 years ago. And I'm like, wow. I mean, that was a month's salary.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So the next year when I was doing my taxes, he's filling out when you did this and what your income about this. He said, and what was your refund last year? I said, what's that got to do with anything? So, well, that was income. No, it wasn't.
It was already taxed.
I'm going to get taxed on the $1,200? Yeah. I remember when I got a free cruise when I was doing a radio show, and a free cruise, and they said, well, we have to put this down as, even though you got the free cruise, we have to put this down that you get a $5,000 gift.
And you're taxed on that,
And you're
aren't
taxed
you?
on, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So much for the free cruise.
Yeah. Nope.
Did enjoy it though. I mean, it was great. It was an Alaska cruise. It was very nice.
Oh, that sounds
but,
fun.
but still, the free cruise cost me about $700 in taxes.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it sure is.
Well, this event that happened it's probably been a month ago since Daniel Penny has been accused of intentionally killing Jordan Neely in New York on the subway.
Finally, we found a crime that they didn't like in New York.
Yeah. So I think that it's interesting. He just came out and is speaking for the first time in front of a camera, telling his version of events.
Mm-hmm. Well, he said that he did not intentionally mean to kill this guy, and I know he didn't. He's trying to defend these people. He's trying to defend himself, and he's trying to defend other people. And other people came to the rescue. We've got the video. I mean, there's no question here that he was trying to defend these people, and he was getting help. And then when they realized that the guy had gone unconscious or something like that, they tried to revive him. They put
him in a recovery position as well.
Exactly.
And everyone on the subway was also very supportive of the decision for them to intervene because he was scaring people.
Yeah, he wasn't doing his Michael Jackson impersonations.
No, well, and he was listed as one of the top 50 homeless peoples to be on the lookout for in New York City. So I do think that there's a huge problem in New York. I think that I heard that they're also taking away services in New York now from the New York citizens so that they can continue to fund all of these illegal immigrants in free hotels.
Wow, how nice.
Don't you wish you live in a city like New York?
Yeah, boy, I wish. In fact, I'm going to call up and I'm going to identify as an illegal alien.
Hey, maybe they'll give you some money.
And please, start sending me money and get me some free housing.
Yes.
Free hotel rooms.
Yes. You never know what you're going to get from the city of New York. Or
No.
what you're going to get taken away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but just bend over and spread them, baby.
Yep. And when we get back, we'll be looking at what Daniel Penny had to say.
That's up. At Get Real America, we want to make sure that the real story gets out, and you can help us as a sponsor or as an advertiser to make sure that that word does get out to the community.
Be a sponsor and support your local community here at Get Real America.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke.
When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like,
rather than my skills.
I want to be judged
By my political beliefs.
I want to get promoted.
Based on my chromosomes.
when I grow up. I want to be offended
By my coworkers. And walk around the office.
On eggshells.
and have my words policed.
By HR. Words like
Grandfather.
peanut gallery.
Long time no see.
No can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety.
And do workplace sensitivity training
All day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder.
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist.
I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
I don't think it's an accident that I ended up writing music for a living, because I think I lived in a house where I saw how deeply it affected everyone in the house. And just how much everyone defined themselves by the music they listened to.
Music as a framework, I think, gave my parents my identity from a young age. You can like any music that you want if it makes you feel happy. And now when I hear certain songs, I think of them, and I think of them in their happiest state, and it makes me happy.
If they seem like they're having trouble talking about something, I try to tell them about a time when I felt something similar.
Whatever the issue was, we would tell them the pros and cons and how important it was that they had come to us because we could always help them. I think the real important point, we always told them, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, we will help you through it no matter what it is.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Yeah, sure.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Welcome back on this Monday. Here it is, guys, the 12th day of June already.
Yep, I feel like we were just saying that about me.
Yeah.
Feels like time is flying by.
It does, especially when you're having fun.
Yes.
And that's what we're having here.
Yes, well.
Hope you're having as much fun at your place as we are here at ours.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, Daniel Penny, I hope that I know that he's raised a lot of money for his defense, but he is going to need it, especially in a city like New York. And, you know.
Because they care so much about crime in New York.
Yeah, well.
They care so much about it, they let everybody do it, except, of course, the people who are trying to defend themselves, like the poor guy that had the bodega, or as the First Lady would call it, you know, a doctor who's not a doctor, Bogota, stabbed a guy to death because he was being attacked by this guy. He actually spent 2 days in Rikers before the public outcry finally got him out.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy what's going on in New York. And I think they have such strict gun laws. It's very hard to even have a gun in New York. So
except the bad guys, of course.
Yes,
bad guys can have them all day long, or illegal aliens, because there's nothing too good for our illegal aliens. But here we go, a Marine who was defending people, and he's the one who gets called out and put on the hot seat, and is now under indictment.
East Village in Manhattan, so I take the subway multiple times a day. In this instance, I was coming from school. I got out of class around 2:15. And I took I was at J Street Metro Tech, took the Uptown F train. At 2nd Avenue, a man came on, stumbled on, he appeared to be on drugs. The doors closed, and he ripped his jacket off and threw it at the people sitting down to my left. I was listening to music at the time, and he was yelling, so I took my headphones out to hear what he was yelling. And the three main threats that he repeated over and over was, I'm going to kill you, I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die. You know, this was a scary situation, and Mr. Nearly came on. He was threatening. I'm 6'2", and he was taller than me, so it was. And there's a common misconception that Marines don't get scared. We're actually taught one of our core values is courage, and courage is not the absence of fear, but how you handle fear. And you know, I was scared for myself, but I looked around, I saw women and children. He was yelling in their faces, saying these threats. I couldn't just sit still. Some people say that I was holding on to Mr. Nearly for 15 minutes. This is not true. I mean, between stops is only a couple minutes. So the whole interaction lasted less than 5 minutes. Some people say I was trying to choke him to death, which is also not true. I was trying to restrain him. You can see in the video, there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he's breathing. I'm trying to restrain him from him being able to carry out the threats. And then some people say that this was about race, which is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't see a black man threatening passengers. I saw a man threatening passengers, a lot of whom were people of color. The man who helped restrain Mr. Nearly was a person of color. And then a few days after the incident, I read in the papers that a woman of color came out and called me a hero. I don't believe that I'm a hero, but she was one of those people that I was trying to protect. We were all scared. Mr. Nearly was yelling in these passengers' faces, and they looked terrified. The reason why there was no video at the start of the altercation was because people were too afraid getting away from him, and the videos didn't start until they saw that situation was under control. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Nearly. I used this hold to restrain him, and I did this by leaving my hand on top of his head to control his body. You can see in the video there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he was still breathing. And I'm calibrating my grip based on the force that he's exerting. And I was trying to keep him on the ground until the police came. I was praying that the police would come and take this situation over. I didn't want to be put in that situation, but I couldn't just sit still and let him carry out these threats.
Yeah. Now, here's a guy who was doing his duty as a citizen instead of sitting back and letting something happen and then videoing it on his phone so he could sell it to YouTube or something.
Yeah, and Steve Stanton says nobody is above the two-tiered justice system of law. And Mary McCann Hydebreeder says his crime is that he is a white male. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say that. It's hard to say that that's where we're at in our country, but
that's where we are.
It is.
It's exactly where we are. And yeah, we do. Steve, that nobody's above the law except a Democrat.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Well, especially when you look at how Joe Biden and the indictment of Trump was released on the same day that they had the bombshell that $5 million was given to Joe Biden in this money laundering scheme that we all knew about, but now it's been confirmed. And you don't hear anyone talking about that in the mainstream, do you?
Yeah. The timing is just absolutely perfect. You know,
Yep.
It's like every time something new comes out about the Bidens, Trump gets indicted for something. Suddenly, they come up with all of these. We were talking about the papers that were scattered all around. Said, look, you had these papers scattered around. Mar-a-Lago was actually guarded by Secret Service. They were there. The FBI had been there, 2 or 3 weeks before?
Yep.
And he said, okay, the documents are all over here. They said they were all over the place. Well, wouldn't the FBI have seen that? Wouldn't the Secret Service have known that if documents were just lying around all over the place? They had him in a secret room, and it was padlocked. And they said, well, put another padlock on it, which he did. And then they come up with this middle-of-the-night raid once again for the optics for the camera for Merrick Garland and his Confederates and the folks at the FBI. And the FBI director refuses to comply with Congress and getting papers to them that have been requested. And you have these cretins on the left who keep saying that nobody's above the law, except them, and it's just disgusting we continue to tolerate from this DOJ. And we used to joke about the fact that it's a banana republic. We're making banana republics look good with this. This is Stalin tactics. This is Mao Zedong tactics.
You know, Bill, I don't think that people have really. I think that there's a small portion of the public that has, realized what's going on. But there's a whole lot of people that continue to live in bliss, which I would love to do.
Yeah.
But when you look at what's going on, it's like we have a lot of work to do. And I'm not sure how we achieve, we only have the House. We don't have the Senate. We cannot impeach Joe Biden unless miraculously some of these Democrats decide to break away from, the Democrat Party. But I don't see that happening. They tend to stick together. And I just really don't see an indictment coming down on Joe Biden, and I don't see any sort of impeachment going to happen. Not only that, you and I were talking about how much money has going after Trump cost the American people. Mm-hmm. I think they should have a responsibility for our tax money that they don't waste it. And they continue to spend it. In 7 years, I'm sure they have wasted so much money on these false investigations. And they've behaved, in my opinion, they have behaved in a way that I believe is treason.
That shouldn't be your opinion. It ought to be the truth. And I'm sorry if the truth hurts. But meanwhile, we've got this incompetent administration that is not paying a bit of attention to what the Chinese are doing. We've just been divulged over the weekend or before that the Chinese now have a base in Cuba. Remember when President Kennedy found out about this, when the Russians were putting missiles there, we started the embargo and the blockade, and forced the Russians' hand and to withdraw those missiles. 90 miles away from us, 90 miles from our shore, and they're buying up. They've got ports now in the Panama Canal. They are taking over. They've also once again the Taiwan had to scrambled F-16s because of airspace being their airspace being challenged by Chinese fighter pilots, Chinese fighters, and if we lose Taiwan, you don't know how bad that is. They make something like 80% of the computer chips that we have that runs everything now. Your car, your refrigerator, your toaster, whatever it is, your Keurig coffee maker, whatever it is, they make the chips for it. And if you think China taking over that island, that they continue to call Formosa, then you've got another thing coming. This is serious business.
Well, and we've been talking about that for 5 years,
mm-hmm.
about the chips being made in Taiwan. What have we done about it?
And nothing. And buying up farmland, especially farmland here, near our military bases.
Yep.
We let a spy balloon fly over our military bases. Just happened to fly over the military bases. It was just drifting along.
Nothing
but it just happened to go over. Yeah, just going over top secret stuff.
Yep.
The list goes on, and we're doing zero, except of course the Bidens are cashing in on it. And when the evidence is presented, the Democrats sit there like the Sphinx.
Well, and we have a couple of comments here. Our friend Mary says it's all distractions. Lizzie, she's with us this morning,
mm-hmm.
and she says, "How did Biden get so wealthy on a public servant's salary?"
Yeah, got the nicest beach house in Delaware.
Yes.
4 other houses. It's really nice. It must be nice to go up there and do nothing for 50 years.
Serve the people, right?
Yeah, serve the people for 50 years.
And then Steve says the second tier protects the Dems. Lizzie says incompetence would be an improvement. Biden is deliberately destructive. Steve says, "Oh, come on, it's just a weather base." LOL.
Mm-hmm.
If China is going to take Taiwan, it will be before Biden's term ends. That's from Lizzie Warren.
Yeah.
And our friend Mary says our resident in the White House is working for China.
Why do you think you should be worried about a presidential candidate or a president who is liked by the Chinese government, by the Chinese Communist Party?
Or that has taken money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah. More on that coming up next.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard. Here it is, Monday, the 16th day of June, 12th day of June, that is. I was thinking of Juneteenth coming up.
Oh, yes.
Can't wait to celebrate that along with Pride Month.
Oh,
and we're
Pride
so
Month.
proud of Juneteenth. Please. Another made-up holiday. Meanwhile,
well, Vivek was at our convention on Friday, and I was unable to hear him speak. I had some other job duties at the convention, so I wasn't able to go, but I heard he was phenomenal. I do think that he has a way of putting things in complex things into very simplified wording, which I think is really good. I think that and he's a great speaker. He's engaging. So he was on CNN this weekend, which is always exciting.
Yeah.
And this is what he had to say about the news media.
Yeah, he pretty much called him out.
With due respect, I think it is shameful that I, as a competitor to President Trump in this race, have to ask questions that the media isn't asking. The job of the political media, if it has one job, is to hold the U.S. government accountable.
Yes, we know that.
And instead, we're doing the bidding. You're seeing the media doing the bidding of the U.S. government. No. Ask the question. Get to the bottom of what Biden told Garland and what Garland told Jack Smith. If the same shoe fit the other foot, you would not take their word at face value. Do not take their word now. Get to the bottom of it. Let's actually restore journalism in this country. That's what's actually missing, is getting to the truth.
Okay. Thank you for that. We are absolutely asking these questions.
Good.
They are asking those questions?
It doesn't
To
really
who?
seem like it. Yeah.
Each other?
Yeah. Behind closed doors, of course. They're not going to do that on public. The other thing that Vivek did say over the weekend was that he would pardon, if he was elected, he would pardon Donald J. Trump.
Mm-hmm. And why wouldn't you?
Well, I think that he is also being bold in what he's saying, and we're not seeing that from a lot of the other Republican candidates.
No, it's ridiculous. And of course, there is an editorial today by the communist, that's the editor there, Adam Van Bremer, talking about your GOP convention and about being in your folks being in fantasy land. Let me just read from this.
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah.
I haven't heard this yet, so.
Yeah, boy. Said the Georgia GOP annual convention at Columbus Convention and Trade Center this year's gathering doubles as a hostile takeover of the organization by far-right activists, with talk of instituting a conservative litmus test for members and candidates, and scheduled speeches from former President Donald Trump, failed Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake, election conspiracy theorist Garland, is it Favorito?
Yeah.
And U.S. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. And he goes on to say that the meetings are sure to be long on grievance and short on policy refinement or direction. This will be a Trump 2024 campaign rally and another chance to affirm the big lie, with Lake and Taylor Greene auditioning for Trump's running mate. And it will be a conservative fantasy land, a moniker recently coined by a delusional bigot who knows of what she speaks, Taylor Greene. So the gathering is so antithetical to what could mean a future success for Georgia Republicans that top officials won't attend. Governor Brian Kemp won't be there, neither will Georgia House Speaker John Burns, Attorney General Chris Carr, or Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. Of course, Brad Raffensperger is persona non grata practically. Or
I was going to say, I don't think Republicans like him at all. I don't know anyone that voted for him.
And he said that the last two conventions elections, that is, have convinced rational Georgia Republicans that politics of fear and loathing are losers in this state, both in the general election and the GOP primary.
But yet they draw the biggest crowds, and you know, the people do show up for him. So it's really weird that.
Yeah, if you remember during the 2016 campaign, when tens of thousands of people would show up for Donald Trump, and tens of thousands would still be waiting in line outside, so they'd have to put up monitors or something for people to watch. They were causing no trouble whatsoever. And they said, well, that's nothing but the Hildebeest would hold a rally. She'd have to have some rock star or group come perform, and the people would come see that. She'd get up to speak, and everybody would leave. She couldn't, you have more, you have more people coming up for a refrigerator opening or something.
Yes, Bill. It's interesting. Trump doesn't really have any famous people coming to his events. He is the show. So I think that's the other thing that's interesting, is that we had the biggest convention, and it's no mistake that he had something to do with it. We did not. I do not have the count of guests that were there or the people that were in the building, but they all came to see Trump. I can assure you that. There were a lot of people. The delegates did come for the convention, but there were a lot of people that may have not shown up if Trump had not been one of the speakers.
Exactly.
People show up in droves for Kari Lake. That is 100% true when you look at the ticket sales. She sold out as soon as she was announced, sold out within 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. For a state convention. It's interesting. I love these people that would like to sow division in the Republican Party. And, I read a comment by Mary Hybreeder this morning, and she says, far right, election integrity is delusional. All of the candidates that won all talked about election integrity. Every single one of them. Mm-hmm. That should be a message to our elected officials that people care about election integrity, and you guys better do something.
For sure, for sure. It is imperative that we get out and start learning how to street fight, and we start catching up with them on AI and everything else.
Yep, and our friend Lizzie says, so when a liberal paper supports Kemp, it makes me wonder who Kemp supports.
Mm-hmm.
And then Steve Statton says, all Republicans except Vivek and Trump went to Mitt Romney School of Political Think.
Mm-hmm.
100% agree. I'm from Utah. I am very sorry that we have elected Mitt Romney for everyone to enjoy.
What a disappointment he's been.
Oh, yes, he has. And thank goodness he never won the presidency.
Yeah. Well, I would have preferred him to the Dalai Lama, another term of the Dalai Lama, though.
Yeah.
It would have been better, believe
Yes.
me, because the Dalai Lama had another 4 years to help destroy America. And take my word for it, because we get this directly from Dan Bongino. I love his perspective because of having been a Secret Service agent and knows the behind-the-scenes stuff that goes on in the White House. And the reason he left the Secret Service because he didn't want to put his life on the line for Barack Obama. He said the reason that they're doing all of this, they don't give a rat's butt about Joe Biden. They're doing all of this to protect the Dalai Lama. Take it to the bank that they are doing all of this to protect Barack Obama, because he was the one who was when Joe Biden was vice president, and he told the folks in Ukraine, you're not going to get your $1 billion unless you fire the prosecutor that's coming after my son, and he didn't get. And they fired the prosecutor. That should have been. And it's on tape. They're accusing Trump of this.
Yep.
And it's Biden that was doing it.
Yep.
Everything that they've accused Trump of, if he was guilty of all that, he'd be a Democrat in the first place. But they're accusing him of everything that they had been doing. And so who had to approve whether or not who got $1 billion? It wasn't the vice president, it had to be the president.
Yep.
So, and because Biden looks at his watch and said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. He said, well, you're not the president. He said, well, call him.
Yeah, and we like to leave things on a happy note.
Mm-hmm.
I do like to have some good news at the end of the day. And if you don't know who the Oklahoma Sooners are, they are the women's female soccer team that won this weekend. But they had an important thing to say. So they gave the glory to God for winning that championship. I think that that's something to be excited about when we're seeing so much of this negative stuff in the media, that people are still willing to talk about God and bring it to the forefront.
Yeah, and the Me Too movement of people kneeling down when the national anthem is being played. Interesting how there's a WNBA player that has a whole different perspective on the national anthem now. Now she's back from a Russian prison. If we just get the people back that they've arrested, like our Navy guy that's been there for 7 years.
Yeah, I don't think it's high on Biden's
If he were a
priority list,
black woman
unfortunately.
basketball player, he'd be home now.
Yep, of course he would.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please listen, like, and follow our podcast on Apple and Spotify. You can also catch us here on Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, and also download the app, The Local Spin.
Back for the Tuesday edition tomorrow.